Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2021. Have a SmackDown review, because why the fuck not? Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and this is your January 1st, 2021 SmackDown review. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this isn't gonna go back to being a regular thing. It's very, very, very much a case of we're all still locked down. New Year's Day happens to be a Friday. What the fuck else am I gonna do? So here we are, and let's be real. Talk about WWE and the main roster versus, you know, the good brand, NXT. If you have to pick the lesser of two evils, it's going to be SmackDown. SmackDown still suffers from a lot of main roster-ism, which got us a lot of tag team matches tonight we're going to talk about in a bit. But SmackDown is far and away the better brand over Raw, same as NXT's the far and away better brand over AEW, but we don't need to talk about that, because that gets me a lot of fire on Twitter if you haven't been paying attention in the last couple of days. So yeah, I literally just sat down to watch SmackDown, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not doing anything. Ticking over into 2021 hasn't magically made the ongoing global situation go away, so I might as well at this point. And it's not going to be anywhere near a regular thing, and in a couple of weeks when, what's it called? Can't think of the name of it now. When WandaVision starts on Disney Plus, and I may or may not start reviewing that, that's also going to drop on a Friday, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Going to have to talk to my co-host about that, and yeah, that's another Friday thing, so this might be a one-off. Put it down, I will always say, this is not going live on Premiere, by the way. This is just going to drop as a video. Watch it as and when you like. But put it down in the comment section below if you'd like me to talk about SmackDown, if you like what I have to say tonight, which is going to be some really, really offhand comments about NXT. Please put it down in the box below, because if there is an audience for it, if people would like me to talk about SmackDown, I'll try to work that into the rotation, but it won't be set as premiere like my NXT reviews are, like my Flicks Fix series is, like the collabs that I drop on Friday nights usually are. It will just be dropped as a video, just grab it whenever you want type thing. That being said, got to do the house cleaning, I guess. If, for some reason, you're tuning in for the first time, and this is the first time you've seen the pretty sexy face in the Gimmick Hat, you want to find me in an audio platform, go to Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Google, Anchor, all those other places. Look for Spaz Phoenix Podcast. If you are listening over there and you want to find me in video form with the silly sexy face and the Gimmick Hat, you want to go to YouTube, search Spaz Phoenix, find Spaz Phoenix and Spaz Phoenix 1 on Twitter. If my Twitter hasn't been deactivated yet, find Spaz Phoenix on Instagram, and go to Facebook and find the Spaz Phoenix Podcast Facebook group. Did not hit my goal of 1,100 before New Year's, which is kind of a bummer, but at the same time, it is what it is. Wrestling is what it is, and the world is what it is right now. I will say, go back one episode, go back one video, depending on where you're listening to this, and listen to the year-in review thing that myself and Jake DeMarco and Guapo did for NXT and AEW. It's long. I'll warn you that it's long. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to both of those guys. Shout out to Kristen, who I hope to have on here shortly. And away we go. We started off this week's NXT. We didn't start off this week's NXT at all. That's how used to it I am doing the NXT review. We started off this week's SmackDown with the graphic, obviously, for Luke Harper, who passed away a little bit ago. I'm not going to dwell on it too much here. They did the great tribute thing on AEW. I spoke at length with Guapo in that year-end review about the passing of Luke Harper. I don't need to reminisce over it again here, but it was acknowledged. It was really nice. In a couple of the matches, there were a lot of you know, people throwing lariats, people doing the yeah, doing the you know what day it is, you know what time it is thing. It's all good. We then go into a replay of last week's cage match, which was a rematch from TLC between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, which was a lot of fun. Maybe I should have reviewed last week's, because last week you had the cage match to start the night and you had the Intercontinental Championship match to end the night. That would have been a really cool episode for me to review, but I was not sober at that point, I'm not going to lie. We start off the show tonight with Roman and Jay and Heyman coming out to the ring. Roman says as the face of WWE, it's his job to welcome us to 2021. He says 2020 was tough, but when you're the head of the table, you know how to make it work. He talks about the significance of the golden glove that he has, because everything he has touches and turns to gold. He's got the Midas touch. He's got the golden touch. He hypes up Paul Heyman as the most honest businessman he's ever dealt with, and then touts the accomplishments of Jey Uso, but as accomplishments of his, because he got him to be main event Uso. And then Owens music hits, which is fine, and it's awesome. And Owens is sort of the Stone Cold Steve Austin in this scenario, but Owens doesn't even get to say anything because Roman is just so sick of his. I love heel Roman, by the way. It's just fucking good. He cuts him off. He's like, just stop. This is pathetic. You know, I'm trying to be out here and give my friend and my cousin the time that they need, and you're just being pathetic. You're just a beggar. You're looking for scraps. You know, I gifted you a headlining main event match. I've given you 2 title matches. I hope you took those paydays and took them and fed your family and all that sort of thing. Now what you're doing is just embarrassing. And Owens is doing this kind of calm thing. The thing is, like, when Owens tries to do the calm, quiet, silent thing, he gets this look on him like he's about to cry, which I don't think is the look he's going for. That's not me making fun of him. That's just me making an honest observation of a wrestler that I really, really am a fan of. He says, I hope you're embarrassed. I hope you're embarrassed that you didn't finish the job last week. I hope you're embarrassed that you didn't finish the job at TLC. I hope you're embarrassed that your cousin helped you and I'm still here, I'm still standing, you didn't get the job done. I hope you're embarrassed that the big dog is just a little bitch. And then he calls out Jey Uso for a match tonight. And that basically cuts off the segment, and it is cookie cutter WWE. It is cookie cutter. Somebody comes out to say something, somebody else comes out to interrupt them, we get a main event for later on in the night. But just everything that we want to slot into place individually. Kevin Owens in the main event slot is there. Well, not the Usos, but one of the Usos being taken really, really seriously as a main event character, at least week to week. Roman Reigns as this awesome heel. Paul Heyman playing a role, but being more in the background and not even doing the mic stuff. It's such a counter to what he did with Brock Lesnar. All these individual things that we wanted for the past couple of years have all kind of come together in this. And it's kind of cool for me to come up here and talk about it, because as much as I say a lot of the time, you know, main event or main roster WWE has fallen off a cliff, there are high points. For me, Alexa Bliss and The Fiend are a high point. For me, the Roman thing is a high point. For me, the mid-card in SmackDown in general is a high point. I mean, I still have to put up with other people that we're going to talk about later in this show on my television, but there are some good. Now, I should be able to pull a lot of good, not just a little bit of good, out of 5 hours of weekly programming. But if you don't give the credit where it's due, then your criticisms lose value. I've always tried to go that way. That's why when I talk about NXT, I will praise it to the high heavens because it's my favorite brand, but I will nail down the shit that doesn't work. Velveteen Dream, for example. Cameron Grimes, for example, in my case. It's important. And whatever your brand is, whether your brand is Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, 205 Live, ROH, Impact, AEW, whatever your brand is, if you're coming up here to do something like what I do, like what a lot of us do here, praise it to the high heavens, admit your biases like I do. I'm incredibly biased towards NXT. I don't think that's any given secret, but in admitting your biases, you have to acknowledge the flaws, or the other way around, or you have to give credit where credit is due, because then your criticisms lose value if you don't. That's it. I've rambled on that. That was a point I wasn't even planning on making tonight. We flip from this very tense opening promo to a replay of Big E winning the IC title last week, and it's a happy moment. It is. Big E's going on a solo run. He's going to get a push. He's probably going to win the Royal Rumble. Getting the IC title is the nice first step towards that. He's going to have some nice, big, feeder athletic feuds leading up into the Royal Rumble, where he's going to win the Royal Rumble, go on to WrestleMania, rah. Hopefully there will be people. I do think the good job in the meantime that the great liberator Sami Zayn did is completely swept under the rug by the happiness over Big E's win, and I do think that's kind of unfortunate. And let me be clear, that's not Big E's fault, that's not Big E's fans' fault, that's not the New Day's fault, that's nobody's fault. I just... For that to feel so good, you have to have him defeating an absolute twerp like Sami Zayn. My comparison, if I was to compare it to NXT, would be Leon Ruff or somebody like Leon Ruff or even Damian Priest defeating somebody like Johnny Gargano, who is incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? Formidable, and he's got the resume to back it up, but he's just being a twerp right now, and the way is awesome. Sami Zayn, we know he's got the resume. We know he's legit, but he's being a twerp right now. And the fact that he's being a twerp leads to the good feeling that comes with the Big E victory, along with the fact that people have thought Big E should be a main eventer for a long time, which is fine. And he's already been the IC champion, and I hope they acknowledge that soon. I hope they don't go on for too long pretending like this is a brand new thing. But that leads us into Big E versus Baron Corbin with Sami Zayn on commentary. Sami Zayn still wearing his I Am the Intercontinental Champion t-shirt, which is awesome. This gives me a chance to talk about Big E's new entrance. It's good that he's got his own music. It's good that he's not still coming out to the New Day music. He didn't do it this week, but the past couple of weeks he's been doing the chalk thing. Honestly, I don't know why I'm doing my hands right now, like that matters. I thought that was a nice little touch. I don't know why they're not doing it this week. He's got the Brody armband, obviously, because a lot of people are paying attention, or paying their respects to Luke Harper. And Corbin's court, the court of the lone wolf, is the other thing I wanted to address, because, oh my god, Jackson Riker, oh my god, he's back on TV. We decided we didn't like him, and now he's back on TV. Same thing with Austin Theory, but again, I digress into NXT conversation. You don't like the guy. You don't like an opinion that he put out on Twitter. He's still allowed to have a job. He's not out there diddling kids like Velveteen Dream. There's a difference, and if you can't see that, I can't help you, and you probably won't hear me through your helmet anyway. But they did break up the Forgotten Sons. They brought them all back to TV, just not together, and they've got him doing the thing with Elias, which is also weird because he's going to end up fighting Omos, isn't he? And Omos doesn't wrestle, he's just tall. It's weird. But anyways, Blake and Cutler being these new sort of silent, stoic-looking followers of King Corbin, who's still King Corbin, and yes, it's cheesy, but he knows it's cheesy, and he plays up the cheesiness, and it all works. Anyways, other than that, I will also say Baron Corbin, underrated as a character for the role that he plays on the show. He's coming up on being their next Miz. Like, he's nowhere near the best guy they've got on the roster. He didn't spend 20 years grinding in the indies, in the armories, in the bingo halls, but he is good in the ring. He's got two of the best finishers, the Deep Six and the, what is the other one? The Deep Six and the End of Days are both awesome moves, and both could be finishers given to different people. And he's an asshole, and he knows that the people that like the indie wrestlers, the smaller technical guys, don't like him just because he's not one of those, so he's going to go as far the other way as possible. And I think a lot of people went underrated this year or this past year, I should say, because we're not in 2020 anymore, because the world sucks, and we're just going to cling to who we like and toss away who we don't. But a person that continues to be sort of underrated for his contribution is somebody like a Baron Corbin, is The Miz as well, is the Alexa Blisses, and people that aren't, 5-star classic in the Tokyo Dome wrestlers, but still serve their purpose nonetheless because they're not. So Corbin, Big E, lots of fun. Let's get into that. Collar and double tap and a headlock by Corbin. Dueling shoulder tackles between two big guys. Back elbow by Big E and a gator roll. Gator roll from Big E was a cool thing to see. Boot by Corbin. A lot of this match was spent with Big E. Every time he was on offense, he was doing the old Luke Harper, yeah thing, which I thought was really cool. Boot by Corbin. Lariat, some elbow shots and a neck vice. Chops to the throat by Corbin. Big E eats a post shoulder first. Right hands by Corbin. Right knee off the apron by Corbin. Big ending by Big E, but Zayn and both of the Knights come in. There's a 3-on-1 beatdown while Corbin sort of collects himself, but out comes Apollo Crews, and somehow, I'm not going to speculate as to why, because that would be rude, but somehow two guys beat the crap out of four guys and kick them out of the ring as we went to commercial break. Now those two guys happened to be Big E and Apollo Crews, and those four guys happened to be Baron Corbin and his Knights and Sami Zayn. Now, I won't speculate as to why two guys are made to look like they can easily beat up four guys. I'm not going to get political. I'm not going to make any inferences even, but I think you guys know where I'm going, and that's just fine. After the commercial break, as if Teddy Long had just come by with a memo, we've got a tag team match player. The Knights of the Lone Wolf are back on the outside, and we've got Cruz and Big E versus Corbin and Zayn. And Zayn just looks like he's walked in right off the street, which is hilarious. We joined it already in progress. There's a back elbow by Zayn, a boot by Corbin, and a right hand. Crossface shots and right hands by Zayn and more by Corbin. A boot by Cruz. Cheap shot by the Knights on the outside. But at the same time, there's a discrepancy between Sami Zayn and Baron Corbin, because Sami Zayn starts trying to tell the Knights what to do, and, we don't work for you, we work for him. Heel miscommunication, to say the very least. Power slam by Cruz, and 3 belly-to-belly tosses by Big E, and Big E's just wrecking everybody because A, it's Big E, and we know he can do that anyway. B, they're giving him extra shine because he's the brand new champion. It's all good. Running splash by Big E, deep 6 by Corbin is still a killer move. Sami Zayn almost hits Corbin with the hula kick. They argue some more, and Corbin and the Knights bail. Enziguri by Cruz and a toss bomb on Sami Zayn get the win for Cruz and Big E. This was really, really cool. Apollo Crews is one of those guys that's athletic as hell. I think... do I want to make this comparison or not? Apollo Crews, not his in-ring style or anything about him, but his situation reminds me a lot of Jack Swagger. Like, you look at the physical, technical ability of Jack Swagger, and I mean, like, from his amateur background and all that sort of thing. The fact that WWE couldn't find a solid role for him is borderline deplorable, and I think Apollo Crews is another one of those guys. I think you would have another example of that with Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley if they hadn't found homes in the Hurt Business. Now, I don't think I could buy Apollo Crews as a heel, so that's not going to work. But he needs to show me something, or WWE needs to show me that they can book him other than somebody's friend, somebody that came in to make the save because he's a nice guy, or somebody that's there making up the numbers in a multi-person match, because those things on their own are nice, but they're not going to make me want to see him go and do other things. In the back, we got Owens, and he's pressing Adam Pearce about the match with Jay, and he said Adam Pearce is basically backing off as like the cowardly boss, saying, you know what, I'll give you a match against anybody else you want, but you know I can't give you a match with Jay. He says, anybody else I want. Hey, okay, cool, give me a match with Roman. Well, I can't do that. And he just keeps pressing him and needling him and tells him he's basically pathetic, which he is, because the implication is he's just bowing because he's scared of Roman and Jay and Heyman. He finally gives in, gives Owens the match, and basically fucks off. In the back, we see an interview with Big E and Apollo after their win. Big E says, he compares himself to the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is weird, to imply that he's going to be a fighting champion. He's going to put out an open challenge next week, and Apollo Crews just pipes up and says, hey, you know what, you don't even have to wait till next week. I'm going to accept that challenge right now, and hey, I kind of helped you win that last week because he was part of the Lumberjacks. And he says, well, maybe next week when you don't have help, maybe it'll be different. So going back to what I just said a second ago about Apollo being a heel, I don't think he'll be a good heel, but I think they're going to try and make him a heel, or at least an egotistical guy. I don't really know. Sorry, my camera's flashing at me, and that's really, really annoying. So I'm going to fix that, and I'm going to be right back, and by the time I'm right back, the transition will have already happened, and I will already be right back. Look, watch. Through the magic of editing, I'm already back. You guys didn't even miss me. Going on next, we've got the Riot Squad, and you guys know, if you've been paying attention to this channel for any length of time whatsoever, you know I love the Riot Squad. Ruby Riot specifically, but Liv Morgan is also fucking underrated as shit. Taking on Billie Kay and a mystery partner, because they've been doing this story for the past couple of weeks, that Billie Kay, after breaking up with Peyton Royce, and Peyton Royce going and teaming with Lacey Evans, which doesn't make any sense on Raw, we don't need to talk about it, but she's been doing this thing where she's been like interviewing different partners. She had Tamina one week, she had Natty one week, and then so she points at the entranceway and Tamina comes out, but also Natty comes out, and the ring announcer says that the match is Riot Squad versus Tamina and Natty and not Billie Kay. And she just kind of goes with it and stands on the outside and sort of starts cheering, and the match is really, really short. I'm going to get into the meat of the match in a second, but for this whole match, Billie Kay is sort of running around the ring, and whichever team is on offense at the time, she acts like she's in their corner cheering for them. So no matter who's winning, she's winning because she's cheered for the right team and all that sort of thing. But the match itself is sort of distracted by that, and I wish more of the focus was on the Riot Squad, because I think they're the ones you need to be pushing. But anyways, Morgan and Natty start the match. There's a springboard wheelbarrow roll-up thing attempted by Morgan. Double dropkick by the Riot Squad. Right hands by Ruby. Uppercut by Tamina. I cannot read my own writing. Boot by Ruby. Right hands by Morgan. Double leg sweep by the Riot Squad. And a counter roll-up to whatever Tamina was trying to do. Get the win for the Riot Squad. And because Liv Morgan is switching sides so many times, she sort of positions herself, because the Riot Squad are halfway up the ramp and they're celebrating, cheering, posing, whatever they're doing. The losers are in the ring. Billie Kay's sort of halfway in between them, sort of half-heartedly cheering along with them, and they're like, no, 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 no. We see a replay in the back afterwards, after all this, because it just ends sort of awkwardly and drops, because it's going to be one of those nobody wants Billie Kay things. It's got a bit of the Heath Slater vibe to it. You remember when they did the brand split and the only one not drafted was Heath Slater, and then he was just sort of going around trying to get a job? She's sort of doing a slightly more entertaining version of that, and it's good in isolation. In its own bubble, it is entertaining, because Billie Kay is entertaining and she knows exactly what groove she's in. But while I appreciate that, I don't want it to take away from other stars that I want to see get genuine pushes. Because, I mean, Natalya has her spot on the roster. She's I hate to use this term. She's the good hand. She's going to make everybody she works with look like $1 million. She's there to boost people and do it the right way. Tamina, if they were going to do something with Tamina, they would have done it by now. And I know that sounds terrible, and I know it sounds like I'm sweeping them both under the rug, but the focus of this match should have been the Riot Squad, and the focus of this match was the one person not participating in it. And I think that's a miss. There's a lot of things happening that I like. They just don't need to be all happening at the same time. We see a replay of the women's tag team triple threat from last week, which was Charlotte and Asuka. Yes, they are your tag team champions. Go ahead and cry about it on Twitter. Taking on Bayley and Carmella, another awesome team, versus Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, who are also there. Mean Girls 2.0. It's fine. They didn't win. Charlotte and Asuka are the champions. They're going to build something between them eventually. It's the team that's made to break up. And that is an overly done trope. I will admit that it's an overly done trope. WWE struggles with tag team wrestling a lot of the time. Bring those belts to NXT. We can fix them. It's fine. But here we have the remaining two matches without the champions, and it's just Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, because of course they're a tag team, taking on Bayley and Carmella. Carmella and Belair start. There's a facebuster by Belair, a wrist lock, a dropkick by Belair, and she tosses Bayley out of the ring. Double team outside by the Mean Girls as we go to commercial break. After the commercial break, there is a boot by Belair, a turnbuckle takedown by Bayley, who works the arm in the ropes. Bayley drags Belair around the ring by her head, and then Carmella works the same arm in the ropes. It's just simple heel, let's fuck up their arm territory. It's good. For somebody like me, who likes Shayna Baszler and the manipulation that she does, and Pete Dunne and the manipulation that he does, and a bunch of people in NXT UK and the manipulation they do, to see Carmella and Bayley working the fuck out of Belair's arm was really, really... It's simple. It shouldn't make me smile as much as it does, because it should be commonplace. But because it's not commonplace, seeing it makes me smile. That's just a thing. Seated butterfly lock by Bayley that gets turned into a suplex by Belair, because of course it does. Gut shot by Carmella and a modified key lock. Knee by Banks, a snake eyes, double knees, and a running knee, because Sasha Banks has knees. They're not closed nearly as much as they need to be, but that's besides the point. Running knee by Bayley, who gets tossed out by Belair. A snap suplex on the floor by Belair. A super kick to Banks by Carmella. Bank statement, and Carmella gets saved by Reggie, the sommelier, on the outside, who does some absolute Matrix shit, avoiding the assault from Sasha Banks, because you're not supposed to have violence between the two different genders. That's bad. We're told all the time how bad that is, and if he had responded, he would be really, really bad, wouldn't it? But the brilliant thing about all this is Sasha Banks gets herself all in a tizzy because she can't land offense on this extra person who's not part of the match and not the same gender as her, so she's a bad person. She gets a tornado spike Facebuster by Carmella that really, really, really made me smile. And then the smile got bigger at the 1 count. The smile got even bigger at the 2 count. The smile got huge at the 3 count. Oh yes, because Bayley and Carmella beat Mean Girls 2.0, and that just is really, really good. We go to the back. Roman is pissed off that the match was made because the TV that is inexplicably outside his change room area has the graphic for the main event on it, and he basically just leans over to Paul Heyman, who's like the silent servant in the background, and says, they made this match. I can't believe they made this match. They don't respect me. Go find out who doesn't respect me. Like, he doesn't know who made the match, but that's a little plot hole and it's fine. The next 5 seconds or so made my fucking life. You can do a return. You can do a debut. You can have somebody come in and attack somebody. You can have somebody immediately jump into a storyline. You can have somebody come out and cut a promo and somebody interrupt somebody like they do with the opening promos usually. 5 seconds of Sonya fucking Deville silently walking through the backstage area while everybody that lays eyes on her is like, oh fuck, is all I needed. I'm sorry, from the inside wrestling perspective, from the I saw Mandy and Sonya Deville face each other at NXT house shows, and neither one of them have gotten a chance to show a lick of what they can do on any televised WWE program, including NXT. Take that. Build up my opinion of Sonya Deville, the performer, and then take into account why she had to leave. What negative, real-life, personal events took her off of our television screen. This is already top contender for the biggest return of 2021. And I don't care. I don't care if you think that's straying into hyperbole. It's just a fucking feel-good moment. And I'm sorry, 2020 happened. We need as many fucking feel-good moments as we can possibly get. Now, I will say, overall, as a wrestling person that consumes wrestling content on the daily, that was a pretty good counter to other news we heard earlier in the day, and I heard on the dirt sheets and whatever. And that is the news, unfortunately, and I have to put my thoughts and well wishes out there to Mick Foley, who apparently tested positive for COVID-19 over the holiday break, did not get to spend any time over the holidays with his own family because he was quarantined at a hotel because he interacted. I think the story is he was interacting with some camera person while he was trying to do some online meet and greet type stuff, and yeah, contracted COVID. And hearing that today, it's another one of those, you don't want it to happen to anybody, but you really don't want it to happen to somebody as nice and as much of a genuinely good person and somebody who contributes to the world as much as Mick Foley. So there's the balance of my good and bad today. Mick Foley, somebody we all know and love and respect, about to go through something really, really horrible. And Sonya Deville, who is coming back after dealing with something totally, incredibly horrible. That's a really, really weird way to balance out the day, but that's where we are. So obviously, my thoughts are out to Mick Foley, my positive thoughts on the return of Sonya Deville, and we move on. And like I say, best way to bring her back ever, just 5 or 10 seconds of her just walking through the change room area, no interaction. Nobody's there trying to stop her. No big graphic, no big announcements. Just have her walk by and have everybody else around her react. I think that's fucking great. Excuse me. Street Profits come out to celebrate the new year. They talk about all their accomplishments over the past year. I'll talk about the Slammies that they won. I didn't watch the Slammies because I don't care. It is what it is. What does matter is the NXT year-end awards where my girl Shotzi won Breakout Star of the Year. Oh yes, some good things do happen. They reveal that Dawkins got a drum kit for Christmas, which is nice. They start making their predictions, which is just their way of making fun of people. They predicted that the Sami Zayn I Was Intercontinental Champion t-shirt will go to #1 on WWE Shop, and then they mock Dolph Ziggler for being a knockoff HBK. They show a bunch of side-by-side footage of him doing the super kick, Shawn Michaels doing the super kick, etc. And they predicted that he will be redubbed this year as the Heartache Kid, which led to Rude and Ziggler, no pomp, no circumstance, just rushing the ring and beating the absolute fuck out of both of them, including them absolutely wrecking Montez Ford's leg with a chair. Now, I will say, as much as I did love this and as much as it was short, sweet, and to the point, and this is a team, if you look at all their merch, it says Dirty Dogs. Is that really their tag team name? I know that at one point, Daniels and Kazarian in TNA referred to themselves as the Dirty Heels. Like, literally, the Dirty Heels. But the Dirty Dogs is weird, and I'm gonna, if that's a thing, they better clarify that that's actually a thing. But it was no nonsense. It wasn't any typical, like, Ziggler-ish comedy. It was the intensity from Bobby Roode, which I really like. Obviously, he's able to travel. He's able to get back and forth from there to Canada and all that. That's all good. That leads us to believe that there is some light at the end of the tunnel. But, yeah, they just presented themselves in a really serious way, and obviously it's easy to do that against a comedy group like Street Profits. And in a preview in the back, in an interview in the back, they said, well, you know, they think they're really, really funny. They think they can just go around and pop off a joke at anybody that they like. You know, who's laughing now? Are they laughing now? Somebody go check to see if they're laughing now. And they said they want a title shot. Now, I will admit, as good as all this is, I will admit that there is a loophole when you do things like this, when you put out the person that you would have the rivalry with. If your goal is to go and get yourself a title shot, which is what they said. They said their goal is to get a title rematch in 2021 because the Street Profits have been mocking them all of 2020, which is a little bit of an exaggeration, but we'll go with it. If you want a title shot against somebody, you wouldn't potentially attempt to break their leg because then they wouldn't be able to defend that title. But I will say, going into the Royal Rumble, I mean, I hate to say this, title matches don't really matter at the Royal Rumble. The Rumble sells the Rumble. I will tell you, in the entire expanse of COVID, I avoided at all cost watching any wrestling from before COVID. I just didn't want to see the crowd. I just didn't want to see, what it was like in the before time, in the long, long ago. If you know what that's from, you get a bonus point from me. For some reason, today, I watched Royal Rumble from last year. At the beginning of 2020, when everything was still okay. The Women's Royal Rumble is great. They overpushed Bianca Belair, but that's fine. The Men's Royal Rumble, where Brock Lesnar tossed out half the field by himself, and then got shot in the nuts by Ricochet, and then we had the return of Edge, and then Drew McIntyre went off on his tear. It's weird, man. Like, we know that it's different now, but we don't know how different it is now until we watch something from the before time, from the long, long ago. Again, toss it down in the comments below. If you know what that's from, tell me. You get a cookie, virtual digital cookie from a safe social distance. I don't know. But yeah, it's weird, man. And it doesn't bug me as much as it would have a couple months ago, which means we're getting really okay with the way things are right now, which is really, really, really bad. But the point being, Royal Rumble's coming up. Royal Rumble is the pay-per-view where the title shots don't matter. That's why people get world title shots like Hardcore Holly and I think Ziggler on back-to-back nights and whatever. You don't have to come up with incredible individual matches to sell the Royal Rumble because the Royal Rumble match sells the Royal Rumble. It's very much like War Games that we were talking about a month ago. So if one of the title matches is going to be the Dirty Dogs versus the Street Profits, that's not bad. They could do a lot worse. Anyways, another tag team match. There's a lot of tag team matches on this show tonight. We had the Big E match that became a tag team match. Then we had Belair and Banks because, of course, they're a team and they had to have a tag team match. And then the Street Profits came out and they have a tag team. And now we have Cesaro and Nakamura, who are a team, who have been a team for a little while, taking on Daniel Bryan and Otis. And why does this come around? This comes around because Chad Gable and Otis are helping Daniel Bryan train for the Royal Rumble. Now, they did this not too long ago where Daniel Bryan went to a newer talent and asked for help with training, and that was Drew Gulak, and that ended up being great. We got some good matches out of them. We got some good tag team matches out of them versus other people. But if Daniel Bryan's way of putting somebody over, which is what he's doing, which is fantastic, is to say that, oh, I constantly need a new person to train me. Like, you've been to WrestleMania and won the WWE Championship. With all due respect to Otis ain't gonna get you there. But they show a clip from earlier in the day where he's trying to suplex Otis and they start dancing around because it's all in the hips and Otis thrusts a lot. And that's fine. So it's Daniel Bryan and Otis taking on Cesaro and Nakamura. Bryan and Cesaro start, and they, on commentary, Corey Graves said the first thing right out of the bat, this is a technical wrestling dream match, masterclass, whatever you want to call it. Cesaro, Daniel Bryan. I mean, you could throw that match on any card with no reason, and people would watch it. Headlock by Nakamura, a rolling front slam by Bryan, suicide dive by Bryan, gets caught by Cesaro, and then launched on the floor by sort of a forward thrusting undercut. I don't know why I do the action. Like, that doesn't help with my description of the match at all, does it? Like, other than make me look stupid. If you guys are listening in audio, just imagine me whipping my arm around looking like an idiot, and I just punched my hat. It's fine. As we go to the commercial break. Come back from the commercial break, and Nakamura tosses out Bryan, and there's a beatdown by Cesaro outside the ring. Uppercut by Cesaro, a high enziguri by Nakamura off the top rope. Bryan tosses Nakamura out. There's a hot tag to Otis. There's a series of throws by Otis. And I know this is exactly what we're supposed to think. For a big dude, he can pull off some pretty, like, picture-perfect suplexes. Really, really good. I mean, obviously he's got the low center of gravity working in his favor and all that sort of thing, but it's still really good. Lariat and a corner splash, corner elbows by Otis, and he misses a big splash. Pop-up pancake power slam by Otis. That's a lot of, there's a lot of P's in there. You gotta cut me some slack. Sunset flip bomb by Bryan, super kick by Nakamura, diving headbutt by Otis, running knee by Bryan, and the yes lock gets the win for Bryan and Otis, and him and Otis and Chad Gable all get in the ring and do the Macarena and thrust a bit because that's a thing. Main event time, Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso. And you saw basically the pep talk in the back from Roman Reigns. These people don't respect us. They're trying to tear down everything that we do. The proper way that Roman Reigns instills paranoia into Jey Uso. Not paranoia that what he's saying is true, but paranoia that if you don't take what I'm saying at face value, I'm going to destroy you. Roman Reigns is the Godfather in this, isn't he? One of the things I'm looking most forward to in wrestling, and I never thought I would say this, is the return of Jimmy Uso. Because either he's going to fall into this fold and it's going to get stronger, or he's going to be the outcast, and then they're going to force a brother versus brother dynamic, and I think that would be really good. That would be really, really good. But yeah, Thesz press and a beatdown by Owens to start the match. Immediately starts working on his legs. Now, they said on commentary that Jey Uso hurt his leg at TLC. Now, I don't remember that being a thing. Now, am I just a little special up in the noggin, or was that never really clarified? Did something happen, or am I just forgetting? Is it, we're in a new year, so I don't remember what happened in December. But he immediately goes for the legs. He's stomping on the legs, stomping on the feet, stomping on the joints of the ankles, the joints of the knee, etc. Almost an Orton stomp. But he's on Raw, so we don't need to talk about that. Both men trade some forearms, and Owens works on the legs some more. Right hands in the corner by Owens, returned by Uso. Super kick by Uso. Uso tosses him over the commentator's desk. And here's what kills me. We had a little bit of a commercial break. We come back from the commercial break to see Uso miss a splash, eat a stunner, and get pinned. He gets pinned for the win. The match is not the point, because you look at it, there's like 7 minutes left on the thing. Basically, Owens is like looking down at Jey because he's fallen and his leg's fucked up. He's got a bad wheel, as they say, and screams up the rampway, "Where are you, Roman? Where are you, Roman?" Hits him with another stunner, calls out Roman. He goes out to the commentary desk and whips the headset right off of Corey Graves' head and screams it into the headset microphone. You know, "Come on, Roman, where are you? Where are you?" Brings out the handcuffs from, I believe, under the ring. I could be wrong. Cuffs Jey to the ropes, hits him with a super kick, stomps on the leg some more, and just sort of, like, again, I say stomp on the ankle, stomp on the joint, and it's just, when he hit the super kick, he wasn't even able to fall all the way because the handcuff that had him on the top turnbuckle sort of held him up there. Then he uncuffs him, which is even, somehow he managed to create this idea that uncuffing him was even more devious than cuffing him, because he pulled the key out of his knee pad and he drags him up the rampway into, up the rampway, throws him into some of the what do you call it, Thunderdome digital screens, whatever, hits him with another super kick. He's about to set him up on a table and jump off some things when Roman attacks, but he attacks from between the screens. And I probably shouldn't love this as much as I do because it's cheesy as hell, but they've managed to virtually create the simulation of, oh my god, they're brawling through the crowd. And that's terrible, and that shouldn't make me laugh as much as it does, but they were brawling through the crowd, and as they went up over the screens, it was like them brawling higher up into a crowd, and it was really good. Eventually, Jay gets back into the mix. There's a 2-on-1 beatdown. They get some chairs. They absolutely own the fuck out of Kevin Owens with some chairs, and then in a little bit of irony, Jey Uso chokes him out with the chain of the cuff that he had put on him in the first place. And the obvious ending of that is to look back down off of the elevated stageway where they are to the table that he was about to put Jey through, and Roman hurls him off at a really weird angle, and he hits this table as we go off the air. This was really, really good. It backed up the intimidating factor of Roman Reigns to his allies and his enemies. Like I said, we had a lot of tag team matches tonight, which means the plus side of that is we got a lot of people on the card. We accentuated all the positives. We've progressed Big E's Intercontinental thing forward. We've set him up with a match for next week. We've set up oh my god, how is Kevin Owens after that big fall? We've set up a brand new tag team title feud that's probably going to carry us at least to the Royal Rumble in a couple of weeks. We accomplished a lot. It wasn't super stellar, fantastic, like what I would say an elevated show. It wasn't a big, huge New Year's celebration type of episode, but it was really good. And if I was gonna randomly, out of nowhere, decide to review an episode of SmackDown, I'm glad it was this one. Now, yes, did I have to put up with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair on my team at the same time in the same match? Yeah. But the rest of the show was fine. And I mean, Carmella got the win with that tornado spike facebuster thing that she did. And Reggie the Sommelier kind of made Sasha Banks look like a dumb cunt. So that was kind of fun too. This was good, all in all. Like I said, if you guys want me to talk more about SmackDown, Raw is going to be a straight no. Raw is going to be a straight no, but throw it down in the comment section below if you guys would like me to talk about SmackDown every now and then, especially because, yeah, what the hell else am I going to do? Then obviously do that. Do it up. Let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter at SpazPhoenix1 or wherever else you want to grab me from. The next thing coming will either be something from the Flicks Fix series or a preview for NXT New Year's Evil. Not sure how the schedule is going to go just yet. I will let you know. This will not be on Premiere, so pick up the replay wherever you want to pick up the replay, YouTube, podcast, etc., etc., etc. Watch your social feeds, and yeah, actually, why would I tell you to watch your social feeds? If you're already watching this, then you found it on your social feed. I'm an idiot. Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, tagging out, guys. Happy New Year.